When I was a high school junior, we had 9 hours of classes every day. After lunch, we had astronomy class, which was held in one of the 2 classrooms in the basement. The basement was a somewhat eerie place when it was empty. Originally, it was a cleaning staff area that had been renovated to look like a normal hallway, but there were no intercoms or speakers, so announcements couldn't be heard down there. This small basement area was called the chamber. It had air conditioning and the classes there were relatively easy, so everyone wanted to take classes there. Moreover, the basement had its own bathroom. One day, during an astronomy class, we had a quiz. I finished early and texted my friend JJ, "Let's meet in the bathroom." He replied, "Okay." I left the classroom and walked down the short hallway to the bathroom. A few seconds later, JJ came in, and we joked around for a while. Then JJ looked at his phone and said he got a message saying the school was on lockdown. We exchanged knowing smiles, thinking that because our teachers hadn't noticed we left the classroom, we could roam the school freely during the lockdown. We decided to sneak upstairs and check out the hallways. In the worst-case scenario, we could just explain that we didn't hear the announcement in the basement. When we opened the door to leave the basement, we were surprised to find that all the lights were off, and the hallways were almost pitch dark, except for a little light coming from the lobby doors. This was unusual, as normally the hallway lights stayed on during lockdowns. Something was wrong, and we felt a bit uneasy about walking around. JJ stepped into the hallway, and I followed. JJ looked down the hall and said, "Who's that?" I looked too, and emerging from the darkness was a man. At first, we couldn't tell if he was a teacher, but as he got closer, it was clear he didn't look like any staff member. He was dressed like a homeless person. "Let's go," I said to JJ, and we rushed back to the basement. The man definitely saw us. Whoever he was, we saw both classrooms were closed and the lights were off. To avoid making a commotion, we decided to hide in the bathroom. We turned off the lights and hid in the corner stall. The room was completely silent, with only our breathing and the occasional drip from the sink. Suddenly, the bathroom door opened, and light from the hallway briefly flooded in. When the door closed, it was pitch dark again. We tried to hold our breath. The room was so quiet we could hear someone walking in. They stopped and started breathing heavily. JJ and I were trembling with fear. JJ did something very foolish. He whispered in my ear, "Let's crawl out through the other stalls." But since the room was so quiet, even JJ's whisper echoed. The heavy breathing stopped, and the person began pushing on the stall doors. I whispered to JJ, "Go, go," and we crawled under the next stall, then the next, until we reached the opposite side of the bathroom. The person was now banging on the stall doors. We got up, opened the door, and light flooded in again. That's when we saw the man from upstairs standing in the corner. We rushed to JJ's classroom, and the teacher let us in within seconds. JJ explained everything, and the teacher locked the door, saying he saw a gun in the man's pocket. I hadn't noticed the gun, but I agreed. Normally, high school students would laugh off causing a commotion like this, but everyone in the room looked genuinely worried. Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside the door, and several girls screamed in fear. JJ, the teacher, and I looked through the door window and saw the man standing there. He tried the doorknob and looked at us through the window. Out of frustration, he banged on the door a few times but eventually walked toward the stairs. The lockdown lasted for over an hour, with us sitting quietly in the room. Occasionally, the teacher would ask JJ and me questions in a very concerned tone, shaking his head as he listened to our story. Eventually, a call came through to the teacher from upstairs, instructing everyone to line up, head up the stairs, and leave the building. Outside, the police were waiting. We described the man to the police and the principal as best we could. One of the officers patted my back, and we were sent home. After this incident, the school installed cameras everywhere and increased the security budget. The event was never covered by the media, so I never found out if the man was caught. To this day, I still think that man was ready to kill us right then and there.